Hi, everybody. You're watching Unorthoboxed with Panina Taylor. Inside the box, outside the box, controversial and inspirational. Today, I want to talk to you about something. We are actually continuing on a theme that we've already talked about, and that has to do with the internet and Jewish observance and the Jewish home. And today, we're going to be speaking with somebody who actually has worked very hard towards bringing Torah to the digital information age. I'd like you to join me in welcoming William Paikin, who is the co-founder and developer of a very interesting program and application called JApp. Welcome to our show.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, William, I've had a lot of people laugh at the name of your app. It's called JApp. It looks like it's JApp. And .me, which is even funnier because like Jap me. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to create an application? Well, tell us a little bit about what your application is.
JApp is an application for iPhone and Android for your smartphone that allows you to have instant and immediate access to shiurim from around the world. So you can access any rabbi that's on our app. You can prioritize the rabbis and the educators based on your likes and dislikes, so that literally if you're sitting in your car or if you're walking down the street, the educators that you want and the topics that are relevant to today, such as this Parsha or Rosh Chodesh or a Yom Tov, are only 2 clicks away. The idea is that with the technology of smartphones and applications, there's no reason to go to a website and then surf through an entire website, find the shiur you want, download it, or go through the trouble of downloading it to iTunes and then putting it on your phone and then transferring via cable, etc. So the idea of JApp is just to give immediate access to the teachings that you want to access.
Awesome. Did you find that there was a lack of such things available?
Absolutely. I mean, the genesis of it, and I guess full credit to my co-founder, which is my wife, as my full muse for creating it. She's not overly technological, and it was frustrating me that she wasn't making use of her iPhone. And the way it started was I was downloading shiurim, and I'd have to take her phone, I'd have to plug it into the computer, I'd have to transfer it from my profile to her profile, from the computer to her phone. She would constantly unplug her phone in the middle of the transfer because she needed it. It was always a hassle. I eventually moved to a cloud-based system, which was .Mac. It was the Apple version of Dropbox. And I slowly developed about 30 people following my folder. And again, I'm not giving any shiurim. It's just shiurim that I've collected over the years. I eventually moved to Dropbox, which is another cloud-based system, and I had over 50 or 60 people following my folder. And I realized at this point, why aren't the rabbis and educators posting it themselves? Everybody's liking this immediate system to be able to access whenever they want. And then I realized even further, you know, that the rabbis just don't have the technological skills or time, so to speak, to make use of what's out there. And what JApp is a portal, an easy to use portal that connects the technological generation, whatever we are now, generation smartphone, with the rabbis and the educators that actually have that Torah wisdom. And it's just a very easy to use interface. And the main thing for me that it does is when you go to a website, the website tells you who's most important. If you go to any website, some web developer has said, here's the #1 guy on this site. Here's the people that we want you to listen to. The concept of JApp is by following and by liking someone inside the app, you're deciding who's important, because that's what matters. Who do you connect with and where do you want your teachings from?
I think that's significant, the fact that you can go on to the program and you can click on the people that you want to follow. And I'm assuming that when they upload more shiurim, that you get a notification that the person you're following has new classes?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're prioritized no matter where you go in the search. So not only are they on the top of your list, but say you decide to look up marriage and dating, for example. If you've prioritized 3 educators and those educators have a class in that topic, they'll always be first. So I'm always trying to deliver the information from the people that you've chosen to be your source, as opposed to me or some other group deciding here is our priority and everyone else comes second.
Well, I know that for me, as an educator and teacher who happens to be on JApp, which is how I got to meet you, or actually we met, I guess, on Facebook, and then you invited me to join JApp. But I know that most of us started out anyway with somebody else approaching us and saying, look, your classes, your teachings are very valuable, and we'd like people out there to have access to them. Let us upload them to our website. For example, I had Torah Anytime say, can we upload, although the problem that I had with that particular website is that somehow I lost the ability to upload. You talk about your wife not being technologically savvy. It's funny, for someone who uses so much technology, I feel like definitely not technology savvy. But anyway, so I had somebody approach me and say, let me put your stuff online. So somebody uploaded them as podcasts to iTunes, and somebody uploaded my stuff to a couple of other organizations, and it was easy. I just recorded it and I said, sure, go ahead. And I think that a lot of the rabbis and the teachers, we're so bogged down with spending the time studying and giving classes that to try to figure out how to upload our stuff is just a little too complicated for us. So I know that for me to also, as an individual, to upload it to a gazillion different locations, that would take a tremendous amount of time. So I think that having something like this that's very centralized is a fantastic idea. And as far as I can tell, you've made it as easy as possible for people to upload their stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, and that was my goal, because what I saw, let me address 2 points, I guess. So first of all, what I saw was you're handing over your content. In a lot of ways, you're also handing over control of that content. You're almost giving your content away to another source, and they then own that content and can then prioritize and do what they want with it. So the system that I developed was more of a partnership system, in the sense of, and it's very clear, like when you sign up with JApp, I don't own or take any control or edit your content in any way. It's not mine. I'm nothing more than a delivery system. I'm allowing you to upload. I'm allowing you to adjust, to edit, to delete, and to advertise. So that's one separation between the groups that are out there and what I'm doing with JApp. And the second thing is, JApp really does not have an agenda, a religious agenda or an ideological agenda, in that sense, that there is no box, based mainly from my background and from my approach, that I just, as much as Torah Anytime has done an amazing job on the internet, and Chabad.org and the Breslots group and Aish and all these other groups have phenomenal resources. They weren't enough for me. My time of going to each site and finding the individuals and the pieces that I wanted to put together my connection and to put together my environment of Judaism was unbelievably difficult and time consuming. So the concept of JApp is to say, you know what, this is for people who don't fit in the box. We have the people that are in the box, we have the people that are not in the box. And that's really the ideology that I'm trying to come from is if you're Orthodox, you're in. And that's it. We're all one people. We're all one group. And I want to be able to go and listen to, the number one rabbi in Israel, as well as my local rabbi down the street, because that actually is my connection. Whereas when you go to these big sites, you can't get your little guy down the street.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up searching for these different people to listen to their classes and of course, get frustrated and then create JApp. But tell us a little bit about your Jewish background.
I grew up in a small town in Canada without a synagogue, with next to no Jewish education. well, I guess, a few years of Reform Sunday school before my mother pulled me out. My mother is the child of Holocaust survivors. My grandparents actually met in Auschwitz. And as a very bizarre reaction, which is, I think, unorthodox, my grandmother actually had her tattoos removed. Wow. And they never spoke about it. My grandfather was dying when I was 11, and I'd never met him. And we flew to Austria to meet him, and that was my first exposure to numbers. He still had his tattoos, and I asked him, what those what they were, and because I didn't know. And he sat up, and it's the only words of English he ever spoke to me. And because I asked him the story of, why does my grandmother have them? I really knew nothing. My mother explained that she had them removed. And he sat up in bed when I asked him, why didn't you have them removed? And he said, it's not my shame, it's theirs. And that was a very profound, it's very different. It's very profound for other people to hear this because they're coming from an understanding of what the Holocaust was, what Judaism was. I'm coming from a place of, I knew nothing. So for it to be that profound, to see that difference between my two grandparents, that put me on a level of search. And my approach to Judaism and eventually to Orthodoxy and to eventually at this point now to be running JAP, to have, all three of my children in yeshiva, probably the first person with my last name to be in yeshiva. I have a very unique approach, I think, and I don't fit in a lot of ways. And it's a constant struggle because I am orthodox in the observant sense, but I'm unorthodox in the approach and my perspective. And JAP really grew out of that because, this one size fits all model, wear the right hat, wear the right clothes, it's very checklist based for me. And it seems very, very external and it doesn't speak to me. And I'm in a constant state of picking and choosing. And I see the struggles with that and the difficulties with that. And with JAP, I want to create kind of a buffet for everybody to at least be sitting at the same table and still getting the food that they want.
Awesome. So let me ask you a question. Do you have a background in programming or, developing applications, or is this like your first foray into it?
This is 100% my first foray into it. I am a school psychologist by trade. So I have 15 plus years experience in special ed and dealing with developmentally delayed and emotionally disturbed children. And what that allows me to bring is the understanding that information can be truth and the receptor of that information can be truth. And the job of an educator is to mediate or to modify themselves simply to transmit information from A to B. And if that information does not get through, if that information does not create change, which is the difference between wisdom and acquiring knowledge, if that does not create change in the individual, then it's the mediator's responsibility, it's the mediator's fault, because it wasn't delivered properly. If the information is truth, if the information has value, then the receptor is going to take it. The question is what happened in the middle. And that's really what JAP's trying to do, is just to create a vessel where that person can access the teachings that they want, that they desire, and in the way that they can hear it. Because everybody is unique.
So what has been your biggest challenge in trying to provide a nice selection of content?
Obviously, technology is difficult. Uploading speed and getting the bugs out has been difficult. And we'll be launching JAP 2.0 within a month or two, I hope, which is going to be a number of upgrades and improvements. But you know what? The hardest part has really been selling the out-of-the-box thinking because people like their boxes. And I'm trying to explain that I'm not asking anyone to come out of their boxes. I'm just trying to put all the boxes together and make sure everyone accepts the other boxes.
Have you had more trouble trying to sell it to content providers or trying to sell it to users?
Content providers. There's been a number of times that people have said very clearly, I won't come on the app because that person's on the app.
Oh.
And I engage that conversation. I want that conversation, and I want the flashlight to be shining on that conversation. And that's the reality of where we are. And I hope JAP brings that issue to light.
For sure. In this day and age, with all of the problems that we have with disunity, and of course we know from the Torah that unity is the one thing that God desires almost above anything else from his people, besides wanting us to walk with him, of course, and to do his commandments, is that we be in unity, and that God seems to bless the Jewish people when we walk in unity. And it's such a shame that in this one area, which really has such potential for good, to reach people, to provide good Jewish instruction, to give the Torah to people like you and I, who were raised without Torah, and for you to discover Torah as a 20-year-old, and for me to discover Torah in my 30s, really. This is a mechanism that has the potential to reach a lot of people. And for somebody to be so petty as to say that I don't want my classes on that channel or that app because somebody else's classes are on that app is really, it's a very sad statement. And I think that in this day and age, that's something that we really need to strive to eradicate, is that, and to disseminate the message that we need to be putting out good Torah content, and we need to stop looking at who else is on the channel and just do what needs to be done. So,
and to switch sides, to be able to play both sides of the coin here, it's very hard to be a man of faith, to be a man, or to be a person who has found that peace. And if that peace gives you so much light, it's very, very difficult to then say, I accept that someone else sees it in a totally different way. So and again, I think it's my psychology background. Like when you sit with someone with autism or with Asperger's, or with a bipolar situation, they're experiencing the same world from a very different prism, from a very different perspective, and it's the same stimuli. It's the same room, it's the same teachings, and their interpretations are 100% different. And the only way to educate them, to teach them, is to make sure that you can explain to them, I get you, now try and get me. And that's the piece that's missing in Judaism, I find. That people are falling into these traps of, I've gotten it, my teacher's gotten it, my neighbor's gotten it, this guy across the street has gotten it, my friend's gotten it, therefore everyone has to get it like this. And we just miss that piece. And we have to get to a point where we understand the concept of love thy neighbor as thyself really means that we understand that everyone has a unique approach, still within the bounds of halacha. One of the profound things I think I learned was the word shalom. It has the shor shalem.
right.
Peace can only be built on completeness, and I can't be complete without you. And I've said it to a couple of people. It hasn't always gone over well, but Mashiach isn't coming for me and the other guy. He's coming for all of us or none of us. He's not going to come and just choose which kind of hat is going to be on the boat. If we're not together, if it's not one group, if we're not all saved, it's not going to work. So we've got to find a way to start respecting one another and respecting teachings. And I can honestly say, I have people on the app that I disagree with 100%. It's very difficult for me. They're not my style. They're not people that I even want to promote. But you know what? It's not about me. It's about Judaism as a whole. And we can't have shalom without shalom. And that's my only agenda.
Well put, well put. So let me ask you, we're starting to run out of time, but I would like to know, do you need financial support? Does it cost you money? Do you need people to support you? And if so, how can they do it?
My original goal was to allow voluntary payments. So again, JAP is not a non-for-profit because non-for-profits can't run payments through the app stores. So what JAP allows is it allows a voluntary payment. And what that means is if the person enjoys a lecture, they can make a choice to make a payment, at which point a portion goes to the app store, a portion goes to me, and a portion goes back to the actual content provider. I was hoping that would work a little bit better. So it has not been a self-sustaining system. In JAP 2.0, we're going to allow for advertising and banner ads. But at present, it's a pet project, and I enjoy it. And we don't need financial funding yet, and hopefully we won't.
Awesome, awesome. So here's somebody who is providing a vehicle for Torah content to get out to the rest of the world, for Jewish people, no matter what their background or where they're from, to be able to access really good, hopefully, Torah content, a variety of it. As you heard him say, he doesn't agree with everything, and that's okay. Not everybody has to agree. Not everybody has to like the same style or the same perspectives on things, and that's kind of the point of what we were talking about having unity instead of disunity. And he's not doing it for an income. He's doing it to provide a service. So one more question, William. If somebody wants to download the app, is that something that they can get by just going to the Android store and putting in JApp, or is there a specific way that they have to access it?
Yes, so you could go to the iPhone or the Android store and type in J-app, JApp. You can go to the website j-app.me. And download it from there. And if there's any educators or rabbis that fit under the broad understanding of the Orthodox umbrella, and they would like to be contributors, again, j-app.me, you can sign up and I'll approve the account, and you can load your content and share around the world.
Awesome. And you can upload videos, audios, and PDFs, right?
Yes. All forms of text documents, Word documents, PDF documents. I do all the conversions on the back end. So again, I've done my best to make it as easy as possible for uploading.
Thank you so much for giving us your time today. I wish you a tremendous amount of success in using this app to be able to spread Torah around the world to Jewish people who may not know anything about Judaism, may not have access to quality Torah content. And I hope that it also becomes an instrument for maybe promoting a little bit of unity among the content providers. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You've been watching Unorthoboxed with Paikin Taylor, and our guest today, William Paikin, the founder of and developer of JApp. And we look forward to seeing you again. Stay cool and have an amazing week.